What's your name and what do you do?
Durflinger, secondary principal, Van Meter. This is my second year here at Van Meter. This is my 7th year of being a principal.
You're in the process of starting a one-to-one initiative, and actually you've done it for a year, as I understand. Now, could you please tell me why you guys decided to do that?
Sure. It's the second school that I've been a part of that we've done one-to-one initiatives in. When I guess part of the reason I came to Van Meter was because we were looking at doing a one-to-one. I guess the reasons why I think are pretty obvious. I mean, we want to put the ownership of the learning in students' hands. We want them to be able to create. We want them to be able to find multiple ways to demonstrate their knowledge. We want to provide a tool that allows them to do that. It's the world they live in. And, all of those things together say, well, if we can come up with a way to provide the technology that they need to be successful, then that's what we need to do.
How long ago did Van Meter decide they were going to do it?
It would have been like in April of 2009 would have been when the district decided they were going to go one-to-one. And then we implemented the actual one-to-one program started in August of 2009, 2010, and now we're in 2010, 2011 school year.
So they only had 4 months in which between making that decision and then doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a couple days in June, or a day in June actually, where they could come in and they got their laptop and they were able to get some basic training on the MacBook, because that's the platform we went with, which was new for teachers. Most of them had PCs before. Some had Macs, but most had PCs. And then we had a couple follow-up days of pre-service days, again with Apple and learning the platform. And then we started the school year. So basically we had 3 days of professional development on the tool itself. Now, prior to that, there was a lot of discussion on, what schools need to look like and what we need to do to provide a better environment for students to learn, those kind of things, and I think that led the group to we need to provide a one-to-one environment. And there were discussion on the different platforms, PC, Mac, that kind of thing, netbook. We went with a Mac, which I don't think anybody's second guessing that now. I mean, it's definitely the best product for it. Yeah, and I don't know if we really have any curriculum changes. I mean, the curriculum is the Iowa core. I mean, that's what we're mandated to move towards. So we're trying to align all of our current curriculum, and I shouldn't say we're trying to align it. We're just basically saying that the Iowa core is our baseline, and we're going to build from there. So those skills within that content that is outlined in the Iowa core and now the Common Core standard. I mean, that's what we're that's the bare minimum. I guess what we're really looking at is more of the instructional piece and just the learning in itself, and really trying to empower our kids to control their own learning, to try to learn within their passion about, we want them to develop, those certain skills that are identified in the Iowa core, but we think we can, I guess the curriculum changes, we want them to have more ownership in the curriculum, I guess, too, as far as how they come about learning those skills. The challenging piece is developing an assessment to show that they have those, the skill sets that we're trying to see developed within students.
What about the teachers? What have you seen over the last year, changes that you've seen in the way teachers teach, their attitudes, etc.?
I think at the start of the year there was, nervous jitters, whatever you want to call it, primarily because they'd never taught with a tool like this before, and so the expectations for using it were there. We didn't really put a number on it, but they knew they needed to be used. And some teachers jumped in with both feet and just said, what, I'm willing to take a risk. I'm going to, go as far as I can. And I think those teachers have gotten to places that we didn't really think they would get to. I mean, we've done a lot of partnerships with schools in Iowa. Our Spanish teacher is working with 2 other school districts in Iowa to where they're doing collaborative projects. The students are, so they're kind of team teaching within 3 different schools, yet we're all still located in different, locations. So we had that kind of thing going on. We had some teachers who partnered up with school districts in other states and other countries and that's continuing to grow this year. Those initial steps were taken last year. We'd have people Skype into our classrooms from all over the world, ranging from New Zealand to Germany to Canada to wherever you can think of. People have Skyped into our classrooms. So those things were kind of happening with the people that jump in with both feet. And then you kind of had people that were down at the other end, which I don't want to say they were dragging their feet, but we had teachers that had taught a certain way for over 30 years and had great success. I mean, our ACT scores would rival any school district in the state of Iowa. And if you've been the teacher of those core subject areas and had great success according to that standardized test, changing things becomes a little more of a challenge because you've had great success. And then we have people in the middle that are kind of, and that's probably where most people are at, that are still trying to hold on to kind of how they've done things, but still trying to test the waters a little bit. They're just kind of dipping their toes in, and maybe some of them they're swimming now, but and that's it. I guess some of the changes you'll see happening are, we've really tried to focus on the 5 characteristics of effective instruction. They're outlined in the Iowa Core. My primary emphasis always is on the student-centered classroom and trying to get, I think you've heard me say it enough now, and really try to get the ownership of the learning to the students, to try to help them have a passion for learning, which I think everybody has. I think sometimes it gets squelched out, I guess, if you will, because we force them to learn something a certain way, and I think that we're trying to move away from that and make it more about our kids as opposed to the adults.
Do you have any hints or suggestions or words of advice, wisdom, for people who are going into one-to-one?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the only thing we would have done differently as a district here at Van Meter is making sure that all teachers, even if they weren't a part of where the students were going to be at, they were going to have one-to-one, but if all teachers would have laptops, that would have probably been one thing. Maybe gone down. We're at 6th grade now. We maybe would have gone down, started with that grade level earlier, maybe even gone down to 5th grade. Those are maybes. I mean, they're not guarantees. Those are just maybes. It'd be, in a perfect world, that's what we could have done. We would have done those things. As far as advice, I think the number one thing is you can't go one-to-one just to go one-to-one. It's not a silver bullet. It's still all about learning. It's just a tool. And I think if you go in with that attitude and really trying to change what's going on in the classrooms, and if you have the opportunity to have the laptop be a part of it, it's going to greatly enhance. I mean, it's going to put kids on a level they cannot get into in a classroom without laptops. It's a fact. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it because it opens up so many opportunities for them that you can't have if you don't have that access.
As far as resources or
tools?
Tools?
Connecting with other learners, tools that are available on there. I mean, you just, asking kids to create something, you're relatively limited with traditional tools, resources that we've used in school. I mean, you only make so many poster boards, and then what do you do with them? They're gone. Mm-hmm. You can't share it with anybody. You can share it with your class and share it with your parents, and your parents throw it away or hold on to it if they're those types of people, whatever, and you really don't gain anything from it. But if you create something that you can put online or put on YouTube or whatever the case may be and share it with the world, that conversation continues to grow, and then you will continue to develop as well. One example, and this goes back to your earlier question about some things that we saw that were different, is the learning happened 24/7, and we had and I found out about this at a presentation we were giving in June after school. One of our teachers, when he was talking about how his class had changed, he had a student who had he had a Ning set up, which is just a platform similar to Facebook, and the student had contacted him about a poem that he had read about John Wooden. His rapper John Wooden had passed away 4 days after school had gotten out, and it was like 6:48 in the morning or something like that. So here we are out of school, and there's still this connection, and there's still these learning opportunities that kids want to be a part of if you provide it in the environment that they're comfortable in. So again, it's all about the learning. It's not about the tool. It just makes it better. It makes it more efficient. It makes it more effective. I think it makes it long term. I think it allows it to continue to grow and develop, as opposed to just doing a class and being done and turn your textbook in and, hey, I'm done with whatever this class is.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
I really appreciate your time.
Yep.